Hey, Spuddies, Potato McWhiskey here. Welcome to Rogue Tower. And you know what? I will admit it. I'm a little addicted. And I've made a lot of mistakes, but there has been a patch to the game, and things have changed. Okay, some of these upgrades, they're a little different. And today is the day that we put the ballista only challenge to bed. And all I got to do is just don't. Just don't take mana bolts, okay? Just don't take mana bolts. That's all. It's the only thing I need to do. Single defense, no mana bolts, ballista only, okay? It's all I got to do. Now, there's been a lot of like really interesting discussion actually on. But like, what if I took one level? No mana bolts. Like a lot of really interesting discussion about the economics of the game and like how some of the, how does Oogie work? Does Oogie come? Is he predictable? So on and so forth. Now, I have spent I've spent a lot of money here, but over like a long enough time, this will generate profit for me. So I think this is worth it. And it provides me with like a last minute, oh shit, here's like a million towers firing. Now, is it really worth it? I think it is, because when I look at a lot of my post-game things, a lot of my money comes from this. So we've learned a few things. One of them is that Oogie actually always comes down the longest path that you have. Now, one thing to consider is that sorcery does regenerate mana as a percentage now. Iron mines aren't like super amazing. I really don't have a good choice here, unfortunately. I guess I could take sorcery. I don't really have a use for mana, so I'll take the mine. At least that gives me something useful. I'll put a ballista on that +3 right there. And they've also changed like a few different ways the game works. Like the priority system now. Now the top listed item on the priority system is actually more important. Now quality over quantity is actually an incredible promotion. So is banditry though, and getting it early pays off quite well. The earlier we get banditry, the better. So I'm going to have this target the near death, ideally. So it'll target the lowest health thing in the area, and this is like a good coverage tower here. We'll target most health. That way we soften up the guys who are, getting up there in health. So these beginning waves are quite trivial. You shouldn't have too much trouble. Quality over quantity is good here. No ballista tower upgrades. Quite unlucky here. I'll take quality over quantity. That encourages me to put at least one level in every tower. There's a nice spot for a ballista. Let's target least health, I think, is what I would like. So we can get that dealt with. I think one tower per section in the early game should be enough until you get to a junction. That should like cover most of your needs, at least in my opinion. But like now we can press T and we can actually see, like, look how much money house protection has earned. It's 40% of our income right now. Banditry is 7%. That's all just going to get better. I definitely, like, no matter what, I want to prioritize getting tower upgrades. And Enchanted Bolt, while it doesn't help me now, it does open up other tower upgrades potentially down the line. This is just a great spot for 2 extra towers. So there's definitely, my next 2 towers are going here. I think I would like you targeting most armor, and I'll give you an armor upgrade as well. You probably won't get a shot off this round, but when we get a little closer to time, this is where maybe another tower is less questionable. And there is a downside to surrounding this with like all these ballistas, is that in the early game, while this does, it generates a very small amount of money, but uses up almost all of our capital investment availability. But I think you can get away with it. +1 damage to armor, absolutely. Especially at this point. Now we're going to put another +3 here, and we're also going to target this to most armor and give it 1 level, just so we can get those armored guys down. Just got to get rid of their health, All right, now we got a nice choke point here for another tower. Now, right now, our damage per gold is quite inefficient because we have like a huge amount of towers in the back line here. You could make some arguments that maybe trimming some of these edge towers that are only touching one house in the early game is like a more reasonable thing to do. I could actually get behind that idea. That would totally be something I could get behind. Now, Banditry 2, 100%. Gold Rush is quite good. But I'm going to take Banditry 2 because it's like basically a freebie. We'll put a tower here. I'm going to have you target lowest health. We want to be getting rid of, I think, like because we want to get rid of like the weak guys, I think. But now the per turn gold of house protection is starting to get to a level where it's like the majority of our income. So that's going to be nice. There's actually a nice +2 tower right there. I'll target you at, I think, least health and near death. Just like try to get these guys finished off. Make sure we put a point or two in some of these towers. Make sure they get leveled. Because I do have quality over quantity, which gives me crit chance, which, you know, is a pretty good multiplier. Because every time a tower levels up, you know, it gets a 1% damage increase, essentially, every time it levels up. So gold investment is quite good into making towers a little taller here. And then the battery of towers should take care of all of these guys here. Now, the modifiers to our ballista's damage is going to come a little bit later. Now, I'm worried about Gold Rush until I have slow bolts. So I'm going to take enchanted bolts too, because that will be useful. We want to like make a long path for Oogie to come down. Let's put a tower there. Target at least health. And near death. We want to trim the herd of all the weaklings. Like if we can trim all the weaklings, then we can focus all of our fire onto the high health dudes, like the trolls who regen and stuff like that. I know, I guess that's just like my logic. If we trim away all the weak stuff, then like all of our DPS can focus on the hard stuff. Because typically the weaker stuff is faster moving, scarier stuff. So that kind of works out for me. And one thing I read actually about the developer, he kind of talked about how he didn't want to implement a speed up button because he kind of saw the game in a cinematic sense, that like the amount of time that each wave takes is kind of part of the game, and speeding it up would kind of change the game. God, I love mana bolts so much, but I'm gonna trust you guys in that it's a trap, and we'll take banditry tree. Now this is a really early banditry tree. 12% income share on banditry compared to, you know, I mean, we're making money. Like once I click this button, that changes significantly. You know, there's a nice +2 tower here. We'll have this target most armor, and we'll give it a little boost. Most armor, and then least health, near death, sort of like in that order, whatever. Whatever that works out to be, just, you know, target a bit of armor, get some levels in. Yeah, our damage per gold is starting to go up. The amount of damage we've done is starting to go up. Our income is starting to distribute nicely. Now, I'm worried about this turn in the road here. This could cause a very early portal, which I'm not a big fan of. 25% burn damage is nice and early. That's a 25% DPS increase for all of our towers, essentially. So I'm going to start concentrating a lot of towers around this block here. I'm just generally targeting most armor, just to get rid of that armor early, you know? But the nice thing about the burn damage is it will, in fact, so to give me a little bit of passive DPS to counter any of this early regen we're running into. And later on, it'll completely cancel any armor regen that units have. So that's going to work out really nicely for me. Yeah, look at those guys just getting absolutely destroyed. Now, we're a couple of turns away from the Oogie round. 25% poison damage. Hello. Okay, so we've secured some of the late game stuff that we super need. Let's continue to build out this corner. I think I would like a full 9 tower battery here. Just like completely plinking away. Because it's like everyone has to walk around this corner. You know what I mean? So like if I just have them all sort of vaguely randomly targeting, and ideally on at least +1 high spots, and then give them like a couple levels. Like I think at this point I can afford to give them like 1 level in each thing, just to give them some general DPS increases. Because now this block of towers is like a really nice bottleneck. Let's see here. I could pick up universities to get early crit points, and I do want universities long term. I hate that it pollutes my card hand, but I guess it's fine. So we've got this block of towers here. Now I could put mines around this iron mine here, but it's also a spot for like 3 decent towers. You know what I mean? Because everyone has to walk by these 3 towers. So I reckon this is just a good spot for more noise. I'll have these target most shield, and then I'll give them like 1, 2, 3, 3 levels in shields. 1, 2, 3. But yeah, look, all of the battering rams spawned over here, which is perfect. So the goal that we're trying to do here. So some of the stuff that we learned is that Oogie always spawns on the longest path of your trail. We also learned that it's a good idea to space out your runs by having like one longer path and then having a few entry points with towers like scattered around. That's quite good. I will maybe click here because this is like a really good battery location. With the 3 level 3 hills here for some good high damage range towers. All right, nice. All right, so that's one of them broken open. Another one should get broken open relatively quickly. I should be able to handle these, I think. Yeah, I think we got this. We got a huge battery of towers here. It's just a little bit of a bottleneck. There's no DPS along here. But I think it makes sense to like cluster all your towers into one location early game because everyone passes through here. And if I can force them to walk through at different times, that means I'm maximizing the total amount of time all of my towers are firing. I don't want the enemies to come in clumps, you know what I mean? I think that's part of it. And then I've got another spot here for a good thing. Mana bolts or research breakthrough. I'm going to take the 5% crit because it's essentially a 5% DPS increase. I'm also going to expand this just once because this is actually like prime real estate for ballistas over here because of the extra range. It means that basically everyone gets hit here. But I think that's the only expansion I'm going to give this. I want you targeting most armor and I'll give you like 3 levels. I want you targeting most armor and I'll give you like 3 levels. Yeah, just like in ideal scenarios, we want to take out armor. And like now you can see enemies are arriving in like a very long tail. So I maximize the duration of like firing across my entire front line, which is perfect. It's exactly what we want. Got 2 more ballistas here. Let's level you towards most health. And then we'll level you towards most shields. Now we're up to nearly 400 gold per ballista. So it's probably about time we think about, you know, maybe leveling some of these up. Plus they implemented hotkeys, so you can like just click on a tower and press like 2 and boom, you level up the armor damage. So there's a lot of really cool things you can do. There we go, perfect. There's that round done. 25% more poison damage or Enchanted Bolt 3. I feel like Enchanted Bolt 3 just makes it so trivially easy to deal with shield damage that I'm going to grab it now. And like, look, we've got another really nice choke point. These guys are getting obliterated. And then when this wave finishes, these guys turn around and start shooting the other wave that comes as well. So this is just perfect for me, the way this is currently set up. Maybe not like 100% perfect, but pretty damn close. A little bit light on the armor damage. Let's just prioritize whoever has the most everything. Just progress, I guess, works. I would love bleed. I think bleed is maybe less important than burn and is less important than burn and poison. But bleed is still, I think, important for the graveyard round when we're dealing with all the zombies and the skeletons and stuff. I think it does matter. And I also think when you have crit and you're getting crit multipliers and stuff like that, I think it is a good idea to try to level your towers up. Like, look at this. These guys aren't even getting around to this section here because of this lovely battery. In fact, there's locations now for 2 more plus 2 towers. Let's see. Now that's the +1 damage to health. That's really going to help against Oogie, who is coming now, and he should come along this path. Okay, I was lied to. I was told that Oogie always comes down your longest path. So that was a damn lie. So whoever told me that absolutely lied. So my instincts were correct in the way that I was playing before. I mean, Oogie won't make it, I'm pretty sure, because we have so much damage. But it did kind of... Okay, well... So my instinct of leveling the paths equally to give me the more time to deal with the boss was actually a reasonable option. I guess it doesn't matter if Oogie comes at the end or at the start, as long as he comes on his own and we're not dealing with other stuff as well. So I will extend this slightly because if it wraps around this tower, like this tower battery here, that's actually like perfect case scenario. All right, let's pick up some treasure. 25% burn damage on ballistas. Hello. 25% bleed damage. Hello. And 15% crit on ballistas. Now that is straight. So my ballistas are popping off here. 25% chance to crit. They got massive damage across all categories. That's great. Now investing into my towers is starting to like give a really, really good return on investment. Building more towers is really, really good for me. Putting money into towers. Mana bank. I don't think I need mana banks this run. I'm not going for mana bolts. Ooh, this is bad actually. I mean, I feel like mana bolts 1 is so good. Like, just get 1 point in mana bolts. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to pick up sorcery. No, if I pick up sorcery, that pollutes my hand. What do we got here? We got 50% burn, so I think we can kill them with fire safely. Okay, this is actually a perfect case scenario. I'm going to target you most shields. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll give you like 7 levels. Let's go through and make sure our towers are about, I would say like level 8 feels good to me here. You're a most armor tower, so I'll get you leveled. You're a most shield tower, so I'll get you leveled. You are a most health tower, so I'll get you leveled. Most armor. You're already leveled pretty highly. What do you target? You target least health, so get you up there. You target least health near death, so I'll get you up there. You target most shield. I think about level 8 feels good to me right now. Most health. You're just progress targeted, so I'll give you 1 of each. Most armor. Most armor. Most armor. Fastest, which to me feels like health. Near death, that feels like health to me. The most armor feels like most armor. So I spent all my money, but I think it was money well spent in that these towers are now quite highly leveled. And don't forget, every point of crit that you get is actually quite valuable because it, you know, if you have a 0% chance to crit, 1% increased chance to crit increases your, you know, reduces your chance to not crit by 1%. But if you have a 50% chance to crit and you get 1% chance to crit, like increased, you've reduced your chance of not critting by 2%. So there's like different ways you can kind of look at how those numbers line up, and in some ways, critical hit chance gets more valuable the more you have of it because it lowers the chance that you don't crit. Slow cooker could be useful later. I definitely want poison bolts too, but I'm going to take broadhead bolts too because I just want raw damage right now. I hope this curves to the right. It didn't, but that's okay because we're still getting good value here. I think broadhead bolts too is like the bottleneck for most shields. Sorry, it's the bottleneck for slow and for range. Although I'm not sure. I don't remember. Okay, you're up to level 8. That's good. So you can see now these guys are walking around both towers. Now I need to extend this path because these guys are kind of arriving around the same time, which is not what we want, obviously. But the good news is we have all 3 status effects secured, which means that, you know, all enemies are going to be we're not going to be dealing with any regen shenanigans, right? And I think part of our goal now is to just get a really concentrated battery of ballistas, quite highly leveled, around this area. You can see 23% of my money is coming from house protection, 24% from banditry, and then we're now getting 54 gold per turn from these, which is pretty respectable, all things considered. So it's up to a good amount of money. Yeah, I think you could make the argument. I think selling these up later on in the game is totally viable because they're just not in great positions for actually being useful in defending. I super need range. Range, I feel, is the thing that I'm missing from my build right now. Now, when my towers hit, they drop on average. So these fire once every 20 rounds per minute is every 3 seconds, and they do about 100 damage. 50% of which is burn. So my burn damage falls off pretty quickly because I have advanced burn. So I want to be careful about letting my burn damage fall off too quickly. Extra 3 damage to health. Slow cooker would be nice if I had poison ups. Poison bolt 2 is quite good. 25% extra poison damage seems nice. Broadhead bolt 3 would open up another ballista wide card. I'm going to take the extra poison damage just because that's a 25% damage increase across all my towers, roughly speaking. Let's expand this road now. We want to kind of lengthen this. We want another split in the road, ideally, to come up on this end of the road and not down here. So let's start looking into more. I'm going to have you target the fastest that you can. And I'm going to level you up evenly. You just target whatever's going the fastest, that's what you take out. So you're kind of focusing on people running ahead and getting too close to my towers. I still do think that just having your towers kind of targeted at a diverse set of units is like a really ideal thing to do. Now, if I got +1 range, that'd be so based, because it would mean that these towers here would now be able to assist on this long track. So that's kind of the scenario that we want to be in. We've got about 2,000 gold in the bank, which is going to be nice, because universities are going to be how we scale into the late game. I'm pretty sure universities are critical to scaling into the late game. At least that feels like it to me. I think you guys are kind of right that I was just spending too much money on getting mana from mana bolts, and that it was actually like completely screwing me because it's just like not super effective. Because so far this has felt very, very smooth, which is kind of annoying because I really like mana bolts. It's an ability that appeals to me on a very fundamental level. I like really, really like it. It kind of upsets me that it doesn't. Look at these guys burning down. I love seeing the crits hit, because that's, you know, you'll see the health just completely chunk when a crit hits. It's a beautiful thing. One thing I would like is when things hit, I'd like a slightly different sound when a tower crits. Extra 25% more bleed. Sorcery. Slow cooker. Kill them with fire too. I don't think I want to kill them with fire too. I think I would like jagged heads. I'd like that extra 25% bleed seems really, really nice to me. Let's continue to extend this path. It should split soon. Like, it feels like it should. Also, I love how much you can zoom out in this game. There's like a really cinematic and weird experience of playing it. Alright, we're looking good. We're looking good. Should I place any iron mines? Honestly, it feels like iron mines are kind of like a, why are you building this thing? To me. Maybe if they like generated like, I don't know, like 1 extra health, okay, is this really going to change my life? I don't think so. I don't think this is going to make a difference. I mean, I'll build them. In like these spots, sure, why not? But my plan is to never take damage. And I think if your plan is to never take damage, why would you invest in 3 iron mines when you could have 1 extra ballista tower, you know what I mean? Or an extra university. I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. Now we're up to level 19, so I'm expecting Oogie, I think it's on level 28 or 26 he comes? I can't remember actually. But we're getting up there relatively quickly. Unfortunately, the one downside of doing one long path is that your round lengths, because of the different speeds of different enemies, they get quite long. Now, there is an argument to be made to start putting towers here on this path. But I think while I still have elevated terrain around this path where everyone passes through and my enemies are staggered, I do think it makes sense to focus as much money in this, like from this corner here to this corner here to this corner here, sort of this sort of a section, like the middle of the screen essentially right now is where I want to be focusing my money, in my opinion. Now each tower around one of these things is worth the round level in scores. This tower is worth 20 gold per turn, but eventually I will probably want to demolish it and then rebuild it along the path. That's kind of like the thought process right now. We got 4k in the bank, which is a decent amount of cash to have in the bank, considering like that's basically all of the gold banditry has earned me this game. Let's see. Ooh, frost bolts is quite good. Monster studies, +1 damage across all towers. Not amazing, but okay. Ballistas deal +3 damage to health. I think the +3 damage to health, I feel like I think it's a good time to get frost bolts now actually, because that opens up options for putting towers along the path. Let's go. It's a Mario. Let's put a few bad boys here. You will be targeting, I guess, most health, and then I'll give you like that many levels, and then I'll have you targeting most shield, and I'll give you that many levels. Let's see, I'll put a ballista here, and I'll have you target most armor, I guess. And I'll give you that many levels. And then we'll sit on our money for now, and we'll continue to extend our path. Good spot for a couple of towers over here. But yeah, the slowing now is going to change the game, I think, significantly. So that's something I might want to consider playing around, is the fact that enemies are going to be slowed. Maybe I continue to extend, you know, how many towers I have, because now every tower firing is a 5% slow, which is like a big deal. when you have like a high health enemy that needs to be slowed down. Although I guess like the greatest crowd control is death, right? Like maybe damage is what I need instead of slow. But I guess for the sake of like these high health, really thick and difficult to deal with enemies, the slow makes a difference. And especially like these little ghosty dudes, getting them hit with like a 5-10% slow for a few seconds, it honestly, it makes a difference. They don't zip by my towers quite as quickly. I get an extra couple of shots off. I think slow is just really, really good as an ability. Because if you think about slow, it's essentially a DPS multiplier. It increases how long an enemy is inside your range for, which means that you have more time to do damage to him. Here's the way we think about slow, is that slow essentially makes your track longer. It makes every single tile of your track just take longer to get through, which is essentially like having a longer maze. But most importantly, it applies when your towers are firing. It's like giving your towers a range increase is another way to think about it. God, these guys are slow. They're so slow. But they will get here. And they will die. Here they go. I've actually been really, really enjoying playing Rogue Tower. And I'm really, really glad you guys like watching it. That's been amazing. Because sometimes I play a game and you guys really, really like it, but like not many people watch it. I like that Rogue Tower is hitting the numbers. You know what I mean? It's not doing like Civ numbers, but that's not important. Not every game needs to do Civ numbers. I just need a game to do like numbers. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I upload a video like I'm playing King's Bounty or some other random game, and it's like literally 10k views, and I'm Jesus, 10k views over a month. You know, that's what some of my Civ videos get in their first hour. Like, I'm okay with like, 20, 30, but 10k over a month, that feels, oof. I mean, maybe I need to count my now. Haunted houses are an interesting idea to me, but that would also mean I'm investing heavily into more eco when I feel like I have enough eco to eke out a win here. I think I go Broadhead Bolts 3. And then we'll start looking at the scholarships soon. I'm going to expand this. No, I don't want to expand that path because the risk of it splitting. Okay, so there's a split over here, which feels good to me. Now I feel like I can put 2 towers here, and I'll have this target most shield. And the reason I'm putting these here is for the potential of the Oogie spawn over here. I want a few towers overlapping each other along this path, just targeting high health stuff to slow him down. Yeah, I'll do one more ballista here. Most shield, and then most armor. So these should ideally, theoretically, just kind of like do a little bit of attritional damage. So things that arrive over here will be in better place. I'm not going to do a huge amount. I'm probably just going to space out like a tower every tile, like on the +2s to maximize the efficiency of the money investment that I'm doing. So hopefully that works out for me. Most shield, most armor, and then maximize our investment into shield. Because we're not worried about the armor. The armor can be dealt with further down the line, and we have burn damage ticking away in that armor. Shields are kind of like the long-term big problem that we have to deal with. That's something I've really come to understand, is shields are the thing that ruin your game. Because you can kind of get by the first three sections of the game with a kind of unfocused build, but when you get to that final cultist round, you got to be ready to deal with shields, because they're regenerating so incredibly quickly and they have such high health bars that it's like impossible to deal with. So mana bolts, no. Frost bolts is acceptable, I think, here. That's another plus 5% damage, or 5% slow. Wait, did they change frost bolt slow? Is it 5% of the damage they deal is slow now? Extend this path like one chunk here. Now I'm expecting to see a lot less stuff get through here over on this section, because I do have towers lined up. Most shield, most armor, and have them heavily targeted to attritional. But yeah, like I'm saying, like I'm expecting less stuff to get through as they're like attritioned down by these towers. It's not going to be the most amazing thing, but it will be nice. Especially because I think they might have changed how the slow works. I didn't actually read the card there, but it said like 5% of the damage they deal. It's been a while since I've played Rogue Tower. I kind of took a little break from it. I binged on it. I binged on it for a while, and then you know, and then I took a little break from it. I waited for an update or two. Yeah, look at this. Like, these guys are way just messed up on the way in, which is exactly where we want them to be. Because it means it spreads out all the like little dudes who run ahead and get murdered. Oh, look at those. That 1,000 damage crits. 1,000 damage? Jesus. I really need the armor multiplier cards for my ballistas. That feels necessary to me. I mean, why not? Why not build these mines? Like, what does it cost me? 150 gold? That's like a few mobs of kills. Now, my house protection gold is starting to fall off, but this is objectively when it's generating the most money for me. Which is kind of a weird thing to say, is that it's the lowest proportion of my income, but it's generating more money than it ever has. But it is kind of a linear income source, is one of those things. So let's see. 15% crit, or we could take Gold Rush. Now that we have slow, Gold Rush kind of appeals to me a little bit. But I also like an extra 15% crit on my ballistas is just gross. That's a 15% like damage increase, and now we're up to 43% crit. Theoretically, if I were to go to like one of these towers and just like invest modestly, we can get up to triple crits. You know what I'm saying? Those triple crits, 3% chance of a triple crit. It's kind of an interesting concept. So now I want to extend this path out even further so that I can spread out my waves a little bit more. But yeah, like the damage on some of these towers is gross. But we're heading into now what I would consider is like one of the hardest phases of the game. So let's start building up the most health. I think what I want to do is I want to start having basically every tower target most shield, most armor, most health in that sort of an order, and then have them be relatively evenly leveled. Wait, most health, most armor. And then just give them a few levels and everything, you know what I mean? Because once we get to university time, that's where a lot of our gold is going to be going into universities. Alright, destruction. Yeah, look at this. Like, the attrition of having just a few towers scattered along a path is quite great, actually. I don't know if it's the most efficient thing to do with my gold, but it seems to be working, you know? Like, it does some work. I really am missing the ranged upgrades. I think the ranged upgrades are kind of like the missing link of the genealogy of my build right now. It's like the thing that's going to connect me from being like, you know, a primitive, you know, life form to being an advanced, evolved Giga Chad life form. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Bleed damage increase or poison damage increase or Gold Rush. I like Gold Rush a lot. I really like Gold Rush. But the speed gain is scary. Like, I don't know what 0.2 speed means. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what that means. And things that I don't understand scare me. Which I think they should. I think things you don't understand should scare you. I think you should be scared of things you don't understand. I know that sounds crazy, but like, I don't know how nuclear reactors work, okay? I have a healthy respect for nuclear reactors as a result. I have a vague idea how nuclear reactors work. I don't know how global politics work, okay? I have a vague fear of when global politics starts doing weird stuff. I get a vague sense of unease, and I think that's a healthy fear. I think that's a fear humans have developed over millions of years of evolution for good reason, okay? You should fear things you don't understand. Not like don't be in terror of things, but just be like a little bit apprehensive, a little bit slow to jump to conclusions, but be a little bit on high alert. You know, I think that is a thing that we have that has served us well over human lifetime. But also on the flip side of that, you should also be unafraid to experiment when you think it's safe, and also don't be afraid to take risks. It's kind of like a weird dichotomy that humans exist in that yes, you know, it's weird because we could say two things that we both believe are true. It's like a weird thing that humans have a unique ability to actually have, I think there's a word for this. It's like cognitive dissonance, to have a cognitive dissonance and somehow have the world make sense with a cognitive dissonance. It's like, yes, you should take some risks, but also be wary of things you don't understand. And it's like, man, it's like we're just like heuristically trying to make our way through the world, making near random decisions with like limited data sets. And then, and then we just like, if it all works out for us, we look back upon it and be like, yeah, I mean, totally, it was going to work out because I'm like awesome. Nobody ever points out the guy who, is a smear on the road because he took, he stepped off, he tried to time the traffic lights 2 seconds too early and boom, now he's just like, he's red mist. It's only the guy who says like, I've spent 43 years walking at the same crosswalk and I timed it by 1 second every time, so I've saved over the course of a lifetime over an entire year of my life. It's like, okay, buddy, but like, what about the 20 other people who turned into red mist? I think increasing burn damage or poison damage here is reasonable. My worry about increasing those is my poison might start ticking too quickly, which means I'm not actually holding the regeneration of my enemies down. I definitely don't want to pick up anything else. I think I'll take burn because that's the one that scares me the least to like have tick too quickly. Because if my burn ticks too quickly, I mean, whatever. Like, okay, zombie Oogie, he will be getting slowed this entire time. So my tower plan should work. So he should be completely dealt with because all of these towers are targeting most shield on the way. So he spawned in like the perfect location. So I have absolutely no fear about zombie Oogie getting through. Like he's already he's dead basically. So I'm pretty sure this section is handled. Essentially. Now the next section, we have universities with a lot of crit stuff, but we have no research bonuses, but we're going to be investing like incredibly heavily into universities here in this era to the point where there'll be very few towers actually being built. Almost all of our money will be going into universities. We're just going to have to hope that kind of works out for us. All right, most shield, most armor, most health, and then a few levels. I love that I can just tap my keyboard and give levels to these towers now. It's a beautiful thing. Most shield, most armor, most health. Tap a few levels, and then I'm going to have you target the fastest with the near death and least health in that kind of an order. Just to have a little bit of random targeting. Not everything should be targeting the exact same thing. You should have a little bit of like split targeting, I feel. So one problem we will occasionally run into is this kind of bunching effect of people kind of all grouping together. Now, I wonder, I really don't understand how the Oogie chest mechanic works. Like, what makes Oogie drop more than one chest? Because I've had Oogie drop like 5 chests at a time before. Well, at least I felt like it. I know I've gotten 3. But sometimes he drops 1, and I don't understand. Is it how far he gets in your maze? Is that what it is? Is it, like, if you let him get further? Does he give you more rewards? I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know. Like, because now he dropped 1 chest. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand why that was. He dropped 1 chest. But 3% research boost to all universities, that's perfect. I'll take it. I wish I knew what dictated his thing. I've got West and A. I don't know what W and A means. Siphon mana, 5% crit on all towers. That's perfect. Let's extend this by 1. Perfect university location. So university. Let's go through. And we want to ideally focus on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want to focus on shield damage, I think. So I think going to 10% on each, I think I could safely go to 12%. 12% feels like a good investment amount. Here's a +5 ballista tower. So, I mean, that's absolutely just, objectively a good investment here. Because it's just like an efficient tower. So we're going to be dealing with like very large health pools this era, this part of the run. But my hope is that these sort of investments into these will pay off. Good. These guys haven't even passed through the main bulk of my towers. I don't know what unlocks range. I need to like check the upgrade tree because I feel like I haven't been presented with tower range at all this run. And I feel like I have most of the things unlocked. Maybe it's an armor thing. I don't know. It's just a matter of luck. See, that's one of the downside of a roguelike like this is sometimes your build just isn't enabled because of a lack of luck. Sometimes there is just like a luck wall that you have to kind of get past. So this sort of bunching isn't scary until they start getting a little until they get halfway through my my battery here. That's when I might start worrying. But right now I'm not worried at all. Especially because a range upgrade just completely changes my build. The percentage coverage of the entire map changes like so massively. Obelisk is getting a 3% chance to freeze. Oh, that's huge. I really want heavy shafts though, because I'm pretty sure that is the bottleneck for a range upgrade. So I'm going to take heavy shafts. Your mom knows a lot about those. Let's go ahead and pop it down. Another university. Boom, boom. We'll take this one to level 12 as well, I think. On the shield damage. No hits yet on the shields and stuff like that, but that's okay. It's okay. We'll see. We'll see those hits come. Now, if I could pick up range like next upgrade, I think that now I'm feeling really, really secure, especially with my highly leveled universities. Theoretically, I could invest more to universities, but I want to have money left over for the next round. So house protection is severely falling off in terms of gold generated, but I think it is a significant enough chunk of bonus gold that it is worth it. Like if you think about 7,000 gold, that's like a lot of extra tower investments. Yeah, I think more towers. Like I think on rounds where I don't get an occult shrine, I invest heavily in towers, and towers where I get an occult shrine, I invest heavily in universities because that's like a long-term payoff. Like if you think about it, round 45, there's roughly 20 rounds left, so theoretically this should hit, statistically this should hit 2 to 3 times over that time, which is like 2 to 3 levels per tower, which is like a lot of money invested across my entire tower setup. So I think investing in universities early and often is 100% worth it, because don't forget, it also affects future towers. That's like the big key thing that's part of that too, is that it affects future towers. Oh, I'm loving this. Some of these guys aren't even going to make it through. Get destroyed. I'm surprised we're still seeing battering rams, considering they're like a tier 1 unit. Well, I guess they're the end of tier 1. They're like the tier 1 late game unit. It's surprising to me how much enemy variety there is in like just due to walk forward. You know what I'm saying? Like all they do is walk forward and have multiple health bars, and they still manage to make it really interesting. Longbow 1 +2 range, that is huge. 7 point now, this tower here, right? It actually covers the second road. These towers hit even further. These guys have range. Okay, that is a huge change. Let's expand again, and we found another crossroad. This crossroad's a little bit awkward. But I think I can make it work. So since we did not get a new university, I feel like it is time that we invest in some new towers real quick. We just do a quick little bit of investment. Like so. And then we just have a nice new battery of towers firing away. Oh, here they come. Here they come. Ah, surprising. I kind of wish there was like a bit of an algorithm that said that, things like iron mines, they have to have at least one open space near them, because it's kind of annoying when you see like an iron mine spawn here and it has only, at least one. I think essentially having each one of these roll a dice from like 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 is a reasonable thing to do. I guess it also is kind of okay. Like some of the early ones you get at least 3, and then some of them you get 4, and then later on they become less valuable. I guess it kind of works, but it feels bad to get one of these and then have like 0 options to do it, to like make use of it. I'm loving how strung out my enemy lines are, that they're all kind of like spaced over a very wide range. And now this range means the actual bottleneck is at this corner here. These guys start firing way earlier. So this is like where the DPS activates, is right here on this swirl, where all the roads merge, which is kind of what I was hoping for. Because essentially increasing the range of all my towers pushes back where the critical line where I have to start worrying about things is. So that's huge. And it also opens up new tower locations. Fire and Flames, I think scholarships plus 2% bonus research to all universities is reasonable here. This is very awkward pathing. Now, I think too many of my enemies are coming from these later paths. I guess it's fine, because it does kind of like spread them out along the path in a really like organic way. Because they just spend so long walking. That theoretically they're like really well spaced out by the time they get here, and then they just like walk into a wall of ballista fire. So I guess it's fine having a really long spaced out like spread path. It just felt more satisfying to me to have like the branch more like a tree where like, you know, you kind of evenly went in each direction. But you know, I can understand how things are right now. I do think a ballista here, like with that range, is worth it. Let's go ahead and target most shield, most armor, most health. And give him a few levels and everything. Haven't been hitting many more universities, which makes me want to invest slightly more into these. Like maybe 1 point each, like another shield. Because we have already hit a few levels on our towers. And remember, that scales forever. That hits all of my future towers. Any more investment into towers will be secured into the future. I love that I can just mash buttons now and get tower levels. It's great. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. You know, I think crit is something I really need to think about for some of these towers. Because the triple crits, that's some stuff right there. God, they actually just can't even get to this corner. The battery of fire is just too strong. Like just firing into that mass at the front. Jeez. Now, I don't remember how many longbow upgrades there are now. I remember there was 3 before. So there might only be 2 now. I would like +3 damage to armor, because that'd be another crit upgrade potentially on the cards. Another +2 range though. That is just... Ooh, Creeping Cough is really good here. I'm going to take the extra +2 range. Because again, like look at this range, dude. Oh my god. Dog, look at my towers, dude. Alright, we'll pop you up this way. To give you a little bit of extra spacing. And I don't think I'm going to add any more towers along this path. Maybe if there's like a little thing. I'm not hitting any more occult shrines, which I don't love. I don't love that I may have to be forced here to do a little bit more investment into these than I want. So I'm going to do an extra 2% investment in each shrine to bring them up to 6%. That's because I'm not hitting many more shrines. But man, that range... That is a beautiful, beautiful thing. I love this tower here. It's just like, it's still shooting. It's still shooting. It actually killed someone. Incredible. I think one encouragement you could do to encourage players to space towers throughout their maze is maybe every tile that an enemy walks through, they like lose a gold. Right? Like, let's say they start out here. So these longer paths, so like an enemy that spawns here has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bonus gold, say. And every time they walk through a tile, they lose a bonus gold. So the earlier you kill them, the more money you make. Something to consider. Or maybe that's a particular type of enemy that like you want to build, because that way you're encouraged then to space towers throughout your maze in like a game mechanic way, rather than like being like, okay, just build like the biggest battery of towers that all fire into a crowd, and you know, execute as many enemies as possible in a shortest space of time imaginable. Which is, you know, it's fine that that's the way it is now, but you know, there's sort of things you could do to encourage you to play it. Longbow 3, I do like Longbow 3. I think Longbow 3 is... Oh, these things are like mortars now. Oh my goodness. Especially this boy. That is a long boy right there. Let's continue to space things out slightly. So I'll probably take another one on this. And then start ranging off of this. No shrines. I think I'm going to pop 1 point on this and see if I get a shrine. 0 shrines is concerning. I know it's a problem. I know there is a statistic. I'm pretty sure there's an achievement for getting no occult shrines in your run. So it is possible that none appear. Like it's not unheard of. And I'm not hitting really well on the university techs, despite my massive investment into universities, relatively speaking. So I might have to just invest heavier onto towers. Which is fine. It's just not, it's not very pog. Like everyone likes investing into towers, but it's not cool. You know what I mean? It's kind of boring. Our gold share. So I do think investing into the house protection stuff is worth it. I think that's worth it. At least until like maybe the very last round where you sell up and then you just start dropping towers. Or like just pump all of the spare money into other things. Because it is true, every single one of these towers that I build, like, increases the gold cost of my other towers by 10. Like every other single tower is increased by 10 gold. So if you think about it, how many towers have I built? This is just like a massive money sink in some sense. But I think it might pay off. I don't know, it's hard to tell. I would love to someone to do the maths on it. I do plan now. Now that I feel like I'm going to finish the Ballista only challenge, I feel I'm going to start doing some more maths on the towers. Like what's the investment curve, DPS per payoff, etc. Okay, so we got Flame Tower, extra poison, extra bleed. Extra bleed wouldn't be bad. Or +1 damage to shields across all towers. I like +1 damage to shields across all towers. That's like not bad. It's like getting one of these. But I think I'm going to take the extra bleed just because that's like a little bit of DPS across every tower. Let's put 1 point here. Perfect. No occult shrine. We are up to +5 shield damage, which should help us in the super late game. We're going to start running into armor problems though. So I'm just going to go through some of my lower level towers and like just pop in a few levels of anti-armor damage. Because, it's not completely statistically insignificant that they'll hit a tower with armor in the coming few minutes here. Oh man, I'm loving the range. The range is so nice. Like, look at that. And I really like the subtlety and simplicity of the game's mechanics. Like, visually, you can tell that a tower has, the bleed upgrade because its projectile has a little bit of like red smoke coming behind it. And when you have all three, you have this like beautiful collage of different colors. It would be kind of neat. I mean, it's kind of neat right now. But if you added like a little bit of layering opacity so the colors blended or something, that would be kind of cool. Or if each type of effect had a different particular particle effect associated with it. It kind of works right now. But if you wanted to like schnazz up that just like slightly, you could do that. I do miss, personally, I really miss the slow tower projectiles being little cubes. I really feel like you could just replace those with like with little tiny 3D cube sprites, and it would essentially get you the same effect, but you're still using sprites rather than using graphically intensive 3D cubes. This seems to be going really well though. I mean, I don't feel pressured at all. And normally around this time of the game, I'm like, ooh, I don't know how I'm feeling. Man, really, were mana bolts that bad? God, I feel awful. But I stuck with mana bolts for so long and they were just basically crippling me. Not great. But considering I have 5 universities and we've been through about 5 turns, to have 5 levels, I think we're ahead of our curve here slightly. ever so slightly ahead of the curve on that, on the payout for that. Let's see. I don't like these. Maximum bleed, maximum poison. I guess I'll take maximum poison, because that does do well against the towers I want to do well against. God damn it, the path split over here again. I mean, it's fine. It just means, you know, there's like a lot of mobs spawning over on this section of the map and not many spawning here. God, I'm really sad that... Oh, I hit another shrine, actually. I did. Okay. Boom, boom. And I think, again, I think shield damage is like my... is my big critical moment. So I think 15 and 6 works well with both of these. It just seems reasonable to me to do this kind of a setup. So there's only about 10 rounds left. And I think we've got it in the bag. I think we're secure. Like, we fire so early on these, and honestly, so many enemies come down this path that I think more ballistas on this path is like a reasonable thing to do. Although it does mean I have to invest quite heavily in them. So is it like a percentage of the enemy's health thing that like decides how, you know, they're slowed or whatever? I actually don't know. But let's kind of have these guys target randomly. So you'll target near death, you'll target slowest, you will target most armor, and you will target most shield. Sort of in that. So not I don't want everyone targeting the same guy, because you're better off spreading your DPS slightly. Because otherwise you're just overkilling heavily. My god, these guys walk... They can't even get past here now. So the earlier we kill these guys, the sooner they fire off the brooms. I actually don't know which enemies fire the brooms. I assume it's these like gunner guys. Like when they get close to death, they fire the missiles. I love how there's still a battering ram just in the back there, making its way. It'll make it, Copium. This is genuinely the best I've ever done with a ballista only. God. Mana bolts, eh? Creeping Cough is really good. Scholarships 3 scales quite well. It's not much though when you consider the amount of universities I have. I haven't hit many. I'll take it because it is like good scaling, and then I'll put like a tiny little investment into my unis, and then continue to expand. God, so many enemies come from this top part, which is fine. It's fine. It's fine that that's what's happening. But we're up to 225 on our universities. And I think once... Oh, I can actually fit another uni in here. So that's what I'll spend my money on this round. Building up that university. But I can't remember when Robo Oogie comes. But when he does, that's probably the signal to stop investing in universities. And the signal to start reinvesting in the towers here and fill out all these higher tiles. All the stuff that's like higher off. Like a tower here would be good, you know what I'm saying? No, it's just like a huge bottleneck of dudes over here. Just running down. One thing to consider too is by spacing out your towers, the total amount of time they're aiming at enemies increases. And I'm pretty sure that your towers level up based on how long they're aiming at something, not how often they shoot. It's hard to tell though, because sometimes they level up, like their cost goes down, not like out of sync with when they shoot. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's an aiming thing. that matters, which also means that, range increases how much your towers level because they spend a greater percentage of the map like aiming at something and leveling. So that's like technically economics as well. Oh yeah. This here, let's go to 8% on both of those and then 16% on those. So 16% is about half of 33%, which means that we have, for every university, we have a 1/6 chance to level up a, we have about a 1/6 chance to level up shield damage per round, which I think is like, statistically, that should give me pretty consistent results. If you're rolling a d6 for every one of these, and then also a d12 for the other two, that's quite good. So +1 damage to shields for monster studies or Gold Rush. I think I'm going to skip Gold Rush because it's a bit late for it now, but I think I will take monster studies just because it's extra damage. Extra damage is always welcome. Hold shift, smooth cam. Oh, I like smooth cam. Smooth cam is kind of neat, actually. If you wanted to shoot some cinematics. There's Robo Oogie. We found him. Let's make sure our towers are set up to also target most armor. Now, armor is my weak point, I think. It's what I do the least damage to. But it should be fine. He spawned on like one of my longest strains in my path, and he's already gotten like super crit slow by this tower here. It would be kind of cool. I wish, one thing I would like for the game is it would be kind of neat to be able to click on a tower and see how much damage it's done over the entire game. That would be kind of fun to me, I feel. Like, it's cool that we could see how much each type of tower did, but it would also be kind of neat to be able to go in and like look at the like click on this tower and be like, this is the MVP tower of this section, you know what I mean? I don't know, it's just there's a lot of cool things. Like, I feel like little things like that are the kind of thing that keep players, clicking on things and interested. We've got 5k in the bank, and I think that's the end of the university's investment for me. So what we get is what we get now from that. I love watching Robo Oogie die. I'm pretty sure he like every time he loses one of his health bars, he like releases a little swarm of dudes that are annoying. Ooh, it's so rare to get a defense game that is just so enthralling. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like it happens very often. Now, there's kind of a part of me that wants to make this into a Giga Tower. There was like a tower here that I had. Yeah, that's level 20. Now, would it be fun to just kind of like overinvest in this slightly? Just like a little. It's up to a 15% chance for triple crits. Ooh. Whew. Yeah, Robo Oogie is... I mean, look how much... I feel like I need to level up my stats stuff now. Like my stat effects. Like the 10% chance to inflict, 10% of the bleed damage, or however that works. I feel like that's the next big thing, is to invest heavily in these stats. Because realistically, the bleed damage and stuff is not doing much. Well, I guess actually, theoretically, it's like half my damage, actually. If I really think about it, this is half my damage. All this bleed and burn and stuff. And also it prevents regeneration, which is a pretty big deal. So there goes the Rocketos. And they shall be purged and stopped quite easily, thankfully. And then Robo Oogie, he's about to go to the great boogie in the sky, to be honest with you. He's donezo. And not just on Twitch. The guy's done forever. God, 1,000 damage crit. Oh! You're 50% chance to crit, 5% chance to triple crit. Heavy Shafts 3. Creeping Cough I really want, but Heavy Shafts 3 unlocks another 15% crit chance. So that's what I'm going to grab there. Treasure chest, +1 damage to health from monster studies. Treasure chest. Creeping cough, very nice. Slows them by 5% of the poison gained. I wish I understood how that worked. I guess I'll take Frostkeep, but I just won't place it. I hate that. I hate that. It's polluted my hand of cards now. So now we're dealing with the cult. We need to start taking that seriously, which means Omega investment into towers here. So let's just see how we stand and hold our gold in our hand for now. Because my path is quite long, and so they should string out over a very, very long trail. And then I think I'm going to start putting points here to see if I can get this path to split. If I got this path to split, it would actually be really, really nice, because not enough stuff comes through here. It's like, because there's dead time, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of dead time in this era. But I'm expecting to deal with this relatively simply, because my towers are just so insanely highly leveled. I don't think anything really scares me at the moment. Like, even these little culty boys, they just take so much poison. Whoa, his health like shot back up. Interesting. Yeah, look at that. Like, the battery of fire when he gets here, he can't even survive. Here it comes. That's it right there. The amount of slow that I have available to me thanks to that extra creeping cough poison is so nice. Oh, I love that it's spread across the entire front line too. And I'm not seeing any healing, which means my status effects are working out quite well. Let's go ballista here, here, and here, and then we'll just heavily invest. Like so. It's pretty heavily invested there. Definitely another ballista here. Kind of targeting a little bit randomly, just spamming money into my towers, because the more DPS the better. I want you to target most armor. Perfect. So they're getting a little bit further along my track. However, we still do have the benefit of technology and research on our side. And there's still room for more towers in this area. It's not like we're out of tower room. 5% crit chance across all towers is pretty good. Poisoned enemies take an extra +1 shield damage from all attacks is also pretty okay. But I feel like that 5% crit chance across all towers, like if I click on this tower here and I take this, that's just an extra, like that is actually so much damage. That's not an extra 5% damage. That's a 5% chance to triple damage. So that's like an extra 7.5% damage, which is a pretty significant upgrade. Split? No split. Oh well. So I think I'm going to start laying down my portals. So I'll put a portal here, I'll put a portal here, portal here, portal here, portal here, and stuff like that. Here we go. So this is the end game. This is Avengers Endgame, boys. We're in the dead zone. And by dead zone, I mean the enemies are dead zone. Every tower I place now, I think it's efficient to just pump as much money into as I can. And there's also an argument to be made for selling off all these towers now. Is now the time to sell these off? Like, this is increasingly becoming a smaller share of my income. It's still a good share, but it's increasingly small as a percentage, which means it's less important that I maintain it. There's totally room for a ballista there. I feel like they could have more of these like little things, these kind of things. Little more terrain effects would be kind of cool. Like, what if there was a, I don't know, like a fire shrine, and it would convert all of your tower's damage to fire damage? That would be kind of neat. Like, there's a lot that you could do, theoretically, with these like little random effects on the map. I think that's like a like not a fully explored game design space for a rogue-like tower defense. There's a lot you could do. Oh man, look at there's something just so satisfying about watching these hordes of enemies get mowed down. And they are making it decently far, but I'm not worried yet. It's when those portal dudes show up, the guys, the walking portal guys who like shoot out enemies as they walk. Those will make things a little bit scarier for me. But every wave of fire does like so much stat effect. The attritional damage is nice. Enemies, yeah, look at that. God, my towers are so highly leveled, and these guys are still, like, actually kind of taking it on the chin. I'm impressed. So we definitely don't want mana bolts. 5% crit chance across every tower. Like, again, this just feels so OP. God, yeah, it's hard to take anything else. Right, we've got our first portal and another spot for a good ballista. Most shield, most armor, most health. Just like a bunch of levels. God, the damage when he hits is gross. It's probably a waste of investment here, to be honest. I should really be investing in towers down here rather than like throwing up random towers, because these guys are just going to regen all the damage he does. Maybe? Depends on how effectively he's actually smashing down their health pools. Oh, I should totally be going through and like finding towers that are close to leveling, investing into them, because that's like the most efficient way for me to make use of like my current funding, actually. There's a bunch of towers here that are like close to levels, you know what I'm saying? If you just tip them over the board, you save some cash. Ooh, man, look at that battery of fire. It's a thing of beauty. That's what range does for you. Like, range is so good. Never mind the slow, never mind all the other stuff. The range just allows you to completely battery fire. Into the crowd. Oh, little portal boys spitting out those eyes, not getting anywhere. Destroyed. We've got these cute little skeleton men. Look at him. He's so cute. And he's dead. Ooh, 15% crit chance across all ballista towers. This is what we've been waiting for. Because now the level 25 tower goes from 50-25 to 50-40. Dare I go for the rare? The rare. Quad crit? God damn, that tower is gross. Boom. All right, another portal. So, this is the end game. We're officially there. I know I've said that a couple times, but like we really are. We really are at the point of the game where just like if I drop a single tower every round and then like max out investments into it, I think that's like increasing my build significantly. This guy actually nailing kills here in the back. Boom. God, the range on that is gross. I think I'm going to start building a few towers up this way. like up this pathway on like the elevation terrain. Just to like fill things out. I get a little bit of extra DPS in here. I think the more like the earlier I get these guys like ticking with damage over time abilities, I think the better. So I'll just take these like little 1-drop spots. I know it's not, you know, concentrated around here technically, but I think this is the part of the game where I have too much stacked here now, and stacking more might not actually be effective, and spacing things out slightly might be a little bit better. It's like I'll drop another ballista here. You'll target most health, most armor, and most shield, and I'll drop just like a bunch of random levels into you, because now you got a 35% chance to triple crit. You do like over 1,000 damage in nearly every category. I think this is working just fine. Fortifies enemy. Poisoned enemies take extra damage. I think we'll take the poisoned enemies vial consumption. Seems reasonable. Boom. Click. Another portal. Oh. So up to plus 13 shield damage. I do feel like the university investment paid off here. This is a lot of levels. It's not an insane amount, but I feel like it's a worthy investment, because imagine that's like a click. That's like a level up click on every tower. You know what I mean? That feels super worth it to me. So I'm just building more and more random towers. Like, I have no fear that whatever comes from this path is going to get killed. It's the kind of like, this really, really long chain of paths is a little bit more concerning to me. My hope is to reduce the total amount of stuff that actually makes it to here, to increase the total amount of value that I'm generating here. God, I love that they changed the being able to just click buttons to upgrade your towers, because I can just mash keys and they get leveled. It's a beautiful thing. I know I've said that a couple of times, but man, I love it when you find a game like this that is just a really, really simple concept, executed really, really well. And, you know, it makes these little incremental changes. It takes community feedback. But I really respect the developer who rejects community feedback in a way. But specifically, like, rejects community feedback and gives a very, very reasonable thought process and interpretation of why they did that. Like the speeding up time thing. I think things are going relatively well over here. Got a lot of burning. Attrition is working, I think. People aren't making it super far. Do I concentrate more fire in this area? We'll see. I don't see people making it much further than these towers here. I think we're fine. These are just like the speedy boys getting ahead from like these portals being broken and stuff. Which is kind of what you want. You want the speedy ones to activate early so they run ahead into your main battery area. So I think this whole spacing things out thing is super working in my favor. I kind of wish there was like more targeting options, like not burning. That would be kind of a cool targeting option. So I could spread effects around. Use mana to melt nearby enemies. Airstrikes, generates mana, siphon mana from crystals. I guess I'll take the mana siphon. It kind of sucks when you're this far into the game and you have to take a dead perk, because it's not like early game where you get to pick a whole bunch of perks in a row. I'm not going to get many for the rest of the game. You know what I mean? I'm pretty much all perked out of it. Like, we're not going to get many more perks. Let's target most health, most shield, like this. And then we'll do most health, most shield, most armor, and that kind of a configuration. And we'll just keep doing that. We'll keep doing these kind of like most shield, most health, most armor, and then just spam a bunch of levels in, and then we click a button, boom, there's another portal. And I don't know if this is like the efficient, optimal way to do things. But maybe it is. Maybe it's the right way to do it. Like, man, these guys get chunked early. Which is exactly what we want to see. We want to see them getting chunked. We're up to 15 shield damage levels, so I feel very confident in our ability to deal with shields. And also, the amount of crit that we've developed over this game is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I think now that I'm feeling pretty confident that we've managed to beat, like I'm feeling like this is the run where we take on Ballista only. Maybe I'll start doing the other achievements, because there are quite a few achievements in this game. Like if we just take like a split second here to look at some of the achievements. Like we got, I've done a lot of them. But like we've got triple defense, we've got double defense. We've got no ballista. The no ballista run. We've got no stone unturned, which is where you build every type of tower. Then you've got the ballista +1 builds, where it's like ballista plus flame tower, ballista plus poison tower, ballista plus shredder. Though we can get a lot of mileage out of this. So I think something I would like to do this round is to get a level 50 tower. So I'm going to start working on this tower here, because I think it's an achievement to get a level 50 tower, so that's something I'd like to do. And I just need like a little bit more gold, and boom, there it is, level 50 tower. We just got the super tower achievement. I don't know if I can show you that. There it is, right down here. Perfect. So that's a beautiful thing. Now people are getting a little bit further. So now, rather than continuing to extend my towers up this way, I'm going to continue to extend my towers towards my castle. And I'm also going to erase a lot of these backline towers now. And start to, like, these are going to get deleted. And I'm going to be filling in every, like, tall spot near my tower that everyone has to walk by will be getting filled up. So this whole section here will be getting refilled. And we're going to be dropping. Even though this is when they give the maximum amount of gold, we're going to be dropping these towers now. We played the eco game, they paid for themselves. It's time to fill out the rest of the map. Alright, looking good, looking good. We've got them cleaned up. Let's see. Burning enemies burn faster based on how much slow they have. Slow cooker seems okay here. We'll take slow cooker. Let's go ahead and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch this level. Boom. There's another portal. There's actually two really good tower locations here because they cover so much of the map. Most shield, most armor, most health. Get you up to about level 20. Most shield, most armor, most health. Get you up to about level 20. And now I'm going to start demolishing the level 1 houses that only touch one of these houses. Leave the level 2s for now because they're still generating double. And then I can start to fill out, like I can put 3 towers here, for example. I'll target fastest with a bunch of levels. Near death with a bunch of levels. And then most health with a bunch of levels. And then we'll also do the same here. You'll target progress. I wish there was like a nega progress, like target the furthest back enemy. You'll target most shields. Just get you a few levels. And then you will target most armor. Perfect. Perfect, 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 perfect. So we kind of trimmed off what we have around our main tower just to fill out this area here. So that any little scuddly boys who try to sneak through, they just get caught out. That's the hope. The hopium and the copium that we are huffing right now. I think I don't know if it makes sense, but it kind of makes sense to me to fill out these like tall spots. Also, there's totally room for another occult shrine that I could have put here if I had thought about my placement of these things a little bit better. Maybe I could have squeezed in an extra shrine or two. But you know, sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. So let's see how far we're getting now. Yeah, that's concerning. It's not incredibly concerning, it's just like slightly. I guess they are dealt with in like 1 or 2 shots each. Man, the amount of mana I'd be consuming right now if I had taken mana bolts would be absurd. I'm so glad I didn't. It really is a trap card. It really is. I think the fact that it scales off damage just makes it unusable. If it was just a flat 1 mana per shot, sure. Increases the rate at which slow effects burn speed. Ballistas gain a 3% chance to freeze. I think a 3% chance to freeze helps out quite a bit here. And then we will do... There's some level 3 tower spots here. 1, 2, 3. Which should give us good coverage. There's a few levels for you. There's a few levels for you. A few levels for you. Everyone got some levels. Let's go ahead and expand the path once more. Oh, man. It would be kind of cool. One other cool thing is if you have like a loop of your path kind of enclosed, it would be kind of nice if maybe you made like a little lake. Oh, that would be so cool. You put like a little lake graphic in here. Yeah. Put like, you know, there's a lot you could do. Have like a procedurally generated sea. You know, there's ways and means to make this less like, oh, I'm playing a floating in a void kind of game, like graphically. I don't know. Just thoughts I'm having. Thoughts I'm having about the game. Again, I love finding a game like this because it captures your imagination in a way that it's not only fun to play, but it's fun to think and talk about. The game is just fun. You know what I mean? And I think that's when you know you've caught lightning in a bottle. Is when your game, you know, when you walk away from a game and you're still thinking about it, that's how you know it's a good game. When it occupies your thoughts, when it distracts you from your negative emotions, even when you're not playing it, when the game itself is like becomes almost like almost like a coping mechanism, but like in a healthy, positive way, and that I have this thing that I'm really passionate about and that I really care about, not in like a negative way, like I'm literally escaping from my problems using this game, but in a kind of a way that this game gives me relief. That's when you know you've got a really cool game. So I don't know how good the 3% chance to freeze is. But I am occasionally seeing like enemies stop dead in this like cluster. I haven't seen one now for a while, but I've seen a few happen. These eyeball guys, they're just crazy. It's like spewing out eyes. I think the attrition thing kind of works. You know? The attrition thing kind of works. Because by the time they get to here, they're actually quite hurt. So if we think that works, let's expand the attrition program, because we have like a triple bypass here of like target the near death boys. Or I guess target the least health, least armor, least shield, least health, least armor, least shield. So I'm hoping that these guys all focus fire and kill whatever it is they shoot at. And just give them like a few levels. Boom, 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 boom. That's so satisfying to do, to like run your fingers. Ooh, crit steal, 10% of the target's current poison damage is extra poison damage. That is excellent. Let's grab expunge. That's actually huge damage right there. Let's pop another tower in here. We'll do near death. Anyone who's near death will get wrecked. And we'll continue to expand. There's our portal over here. Again, I don't know if this is the right way to play, but this kind of like... I often, when I play games, I think a lot of people have like a an incorrect perception of me when I play games is that there is this perception of me that I'm like a whole hyper optimizing player, that I play like games to an extremely high level of efficiency and like I try really hard. But I'm a little bit more of a role player at heart. Like to me, it's more satisfying to me to have like towers spaced out across the entire map rather than have these like clusters of like 1 giga area where towers are obliterated. I'll do it. But to me, like you can kind of see the sort of internal part of me fighting back of having all these towers spaced along the path, and also talk about maybe the player should be incentivized to do that. And you can also see it in my Civ gameplay in that like there are arguably more optimal ways to play, like for example Civilization 6, than the way I play. I know that the thing that I am good at is I learn a game so well that I can play the bad strategy and get away with it. That's like what I aspire. I have to get good at the game so that I can play against like the competitive hardest mode in like the goofiest, dumbest way, which is my own personal style. It's why like when I play like when I play Dungeons and Dragons, for example, I want to play like a druid bard. I want to play like the dumbest combination of 2 classes imaginable that are like super underpowered, and I want to try to make it work. That's what really appeals to me, which is kind of why honestly, that's why I was clicking on Mana Bolts the whole time. I was like, I want to make Mana Bolts a thing, and Mana Bolts just isn't a thing. Like, sure, Ballista only, fine. Sure, we can do Ballista only. But can we do Ballista only using Mana Bolts? Is it actually possible to max out Mana Bolts and do a Ballista only run? I want to know the answer. Because honestly, this isn't a satisfying win for me. This is kind of like, okay, I caved. I looked up a build, you know what I mean? I took your guys' advice. I didn't use Mana Bolts. But I wanted to win with Mana Bolts. And it's actually more important to me to win with Mana Bolts than it is to just get a win. I would have happily sat here and grinded out crappy wins with Mana Bolts for the rest of the time. Oh my god, I could actually troll you guys so hard right now if I took Mana Bolts and like torpedoed my run. I won't do it, but I could do it. Let's get Eviscerate here for the 5% crit chance. Oh god, it's so tempting. Let's take Eviscerate. That's another 5% crit chance. And there's our last portal. Where is the Giga Oogie? There he is. Oh, it's the big brain Oogie. So I have no fear this run. 100% confidence we're going to clear this. In fact, we're going to clear it easily. Would be my take. That would be my opinion. Because I can invest so heavily. And now I can come in here and demolish all of these old towers. Like so. And then come back. And just like drop boop, 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 boop. And just start spamming levels into these towers. And that's all she wrote, boys and girls. Now, you want a hard challenge? How about a challenge where you can only put all of your towers into like the first 3 tiles? Good luck. Okay, the 3 tile challenge. You can only ever put all of your towers like within two tiles of your tower. Now that would be a fun challenge. Where's Big Brain? There he is. Oh, he's already lost all of his shields, and he's only past like the attritional parts of my maze. All in all, house protection was about 10% of my build, but there was a point there in the early mid game where it was half of my money. Just keep that in mind. Banditry, I think, super paid off this game. You could probably do a run without this house protection stuff. Because if I really think about it, yeah, you could probably do a run without the house protection, or at least just do like the double ones. Focus on the doubles. That way you're still getting some house protection, but it's only the maximally efficient ones. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses. Like that might feel a little bit more efficient to me. And instead focus your DPS out here on the field. But it also feels like, I mean, if you can get away with generating as much money as possible by having towers here, like why wouldn't you do it? But then the other question is, Technically, towers generate gold by aiming at enemies, right? Because they generate upgrade points or whatever. So maybe you might actually be generating more money by, like, I don't know. Let's just put all the rest of our money into this big tower here. So it's up to a 26% chance of critting. 4x. God damn. Look at this tower. Oh my god. 72 base damage over 3k. Jesus. I wonder, what does a baseline tower look like for me? 10 base damage. And like, I could invest like... Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. I just invested like a handful of gold and like over doubled this tower's damage. Nuts. Really, really nuts. Big Brain Oogie. He's going to the great Boogie Boogie in the sky. The Bunga Bunga in the sky, they might say. Oh, there's the freeze. The freeze really doesn't last long. I guess it's okay. It's like a really big slow for a very brief period of time. But that's a victory. That is the ballista only, where I caved to peer pressure and I did it without mana bolts. I don't feel good about it. I feel a little bit dirty. I feel a little bit like I cheated. You know? I went to the tower defense bar and I had impure thoughts about a waitress. You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel. That's how I feel. I've cheated on my tower defense wife. But you know, sometimes you gotta cave to pressure and you gotta just get the W. So that was ballista only. I love you all very much. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.